Today I'm going to show you how to make cinnamon rolls, the dough. We're going to start with 4½ cups flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, 2 packages of yeast, a cup of milk, a ½ cup of water, a ½ stick of butter, and 1 egg. Okay, we're going to put in a small saucepan the milk, water, and butter. And you are going to warm this up until the ingredients are warm but not boiling. And your temperature should be about 120 degrees or so. You can use your thermometer to check your temperature before you incorporate this into your dry ingredients. If your temperature is too hot, you will kill your yeast. And if the temperature isn't hot enough, your yeast will not bloom. In this bowl, you're going to only put 1½ of the cups of flour in, so you still have some reserve flour over here. And then your sugar, salt, and yeast. And those are your dry ingredients. Okay. Now over here in your sauce pot, when you're making your milk and butter and water heat up, you want to make sure you're on really low heat and you are mixing the whole time. Because you have milk in this mixture, if you heat it too quickly, it will curdle and you will get little pieces of what look like cottage cheese in your mixture, and you do not want that. So do it on really, really low heat and just use patience. Okay, now you've got your wet ingredients and your dry ingredients, and you're going to use a hand mixer, and you're going to gradually add the warm into the dry. A little bit at a time. Okay, now that you've got that mixed up, you're going to add your 1 egg, which I already have beaten, and then you're going to be adding a ½ cup of this flour that you had measured earlier. So just a ½ cup more of that. Remember, you spoon in, overfill, level. And then we're going to beat this for 2 more minutes. Alright, next you are going to be adding the remainder of this flour a little bit at a time. And you're going to mix it with a wooden spoon until you get something that kind of starts to shape into a ball and has the consistency of something that you could pick up. So I just add a little bit at a time and use my wooden spoon to incorporate. Okay, now that you have got your dough kneaded, you're going to get a large bowl and spray the inside of the bowl. And you're going to put your dough in there. And then I like to spray some wax paper and put that over the top. And then I like to cover mine with a nice towel. And then we're going to let it rise for about 15 minutes or so. I'm probably going to tell you guys to just let it rise, and then I will transport it into a baggie later. And that's the end of the first part of making your cinnamon rolls. Okay, for this section, we've got our already made dough that we'll peek at in a minute. 4 tablespoons of butter, which is a ½ stick, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I did a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. So we're going to check our dough. It's been rising. I'm going to see how that worked. And the reason I sprayed my wax paper was so it wouldn't stick to the dough when you take it off. So you can see that it has risen nicely. And you are going to do 1 punch to punch it down. That just lets the air out of the dough. Okay, now we're going to put some flour on your work surface. You don't want to really incorporate more flour into the actual dough. you're just using this to make your work surface so that it won't stick. And I like to put a little bit on my rolling pin as well. And so you get your dough out, and your goal is to roll a 9 by 18 rectangle. And I cut a piece of wax paper that's 9 by 18 so I can kind of gauge what I'm doing. So you're just going to use your rolling pin and roll it out into a nice rectangle about 9 by 18. Okay, I've worked my dough until it's about a 9 by 18 rectangle. And next I unwrapped my butter, and I'm going to put that in the microwave to melt just for maybe 20 seconds or so. And I'm going to put my cinnamon and sugar mixture together, mix that up with a fork. Alright, I've got my butter melted and I have my cinnamon and sugar mixed up. I'm going to use my horrible old pastry brush, and I'm going to brush the butter onto the surface of the dough. I'm going to use all that butter. Okay, then next I'm going to sprinkle my cinnamon and sugar mixture over the top of that. And I just kind of like to pour mine on and spread it with my hands. Make sure you get all the way to the ends. It kind of soaks into the butter there. Okay, next you're going to take a long end of your dough and start to roll. So you'll have one long log of cinnamon rolls. So you just roll. Till it's about there. Okay, you're going to spray your pans pretty well, both of them. Okay, we're going to use tooth floss to cut our cinnamon rolls. And so you get a good long piece of floss. And we're going to cut our rolls about an inch or an inch and a half thick. And you just pull it up, twist it, and pull, and you'll get a nice cinnamon roll. And then that goes in the pan. The next step is to get your cinnamon rolls out of the fridge and let them come to room temperature. And then you are going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. Then you're going to get some powdered sugar and some milk. I believe the measurements are 1 cup powdered sugar and 4 teaspoons of milk. You're just going to be making your topping here. I just put a little bit of milk in at a time and then stir. And I'm just looking for the consistency that I like. It just kind of turns into a nice little icing. And the more milk you put in, the thinner it gets. Then once you bake these in the oven for about 20 minutes or so, you just drizzle the icing on top and